My cheating wife betrayed me for a younger man, but I exposed their affair and took my revenge. I'm Tom Williams. I used to be married to Kayla Williams. We were together for 17 years before everything fell apart. Naturally, I got blamed for it. Divorce courts in this country always seem to side with the woman, giving her full custody so she can turn the kids against their father. It feels like the divorce laws were designed by people who hate men. We had 2 kids, a 14-year-old son and a 16-year-old daughter. I thought our life was great. I loved my wife, and I believe she loved me. Our kids were smart, athletic, and well-adjusted. Carly, our daughter, was a daddy's girl, and Josh, our son, was friendly and athletic. I was doing well as a mechanical engineer, and Kayla had a good job as an accountant. We both stayed fit and looked good. Carly idolized me. She was good at math and science and wanted to be an engineer like me. She got her driver's license at 16 and loved cars just like I did. We spent weekends at car shows and working on my collection of old GM cars. She also helped me with home improvement projects, learning basic plumbing, electrical work, and more. While she went to her mother for girl issues, she came to me for everything else: homework, friend drama, boys, and advice. We were very close. Josh, on the other hand, wasn't into cars. He was more interested in English literature and civics, and talked about becoming a lawyer. He was closer to his mom. Lately, Kayla seemed a bit off, distant and zoning out. I asked if everything was okay, but she brushed it off. One Friday evening, I came home at my usual time, 5 p.m. Kayla was already home, but there were no dinner, smells, and Carly didn't greet me. I assumed she and Josh were out with friends. I went upstairs to change and saw that Kayla had laid out a little black dress, hot underwear, stockings, and 5-inch heels. It looked like we were going out, but she hadn't told me. Kayla was still in the bathroom putting on makeup when I walked in. "Where are we going, sweetheart?" I asked, starting to take off my dress shirt. "We aren't going anywhere," she replied. "Then why are you getting all dressed up with a hot outfit laid out on the bed?" "I'm going out." "Not we." "Really? And where exactly are you going dressed like that without me?" "Where are the kids?" "The kids are spending the night with friends. I'm going on a date tonight and I probably won't be home until tomorrow morning." "What do you mean, your date? And you won't be back until morning?" "Exactly what I said. If it goes well, I'll be spending the night with him." "No way. You think I'll put up with that? If you want to cheat, you can wait for the divorce." "Stop being stupid. There will be no divorce. I just need this one night to prove I'm still attractive to other guys. If you really love me, you'll let me do this. If you loved me, you wouldn't even consider it." "I do love you, but I need this. I'm getting older and need to feel attractive to younger men. Clarence is 10 years younger and has been flirting with me for 6 months. I finally accepted his offer. It's just one night of lovemaking to boost my ego. I'm not putting up with it. Remember our wedding vows? You're breaking them. Don't be silly. It's just one night. I promise it won't happen again." "Are you stupid, or do you think I am? After breaking your vows, you think I'll trust a private promise? If you go through with this, we're done. Walk out that door, and I'll see a lawyer." "Don't be an idiot. There will be no divorce. I'll come home and be the loving wife I've always been. If you try to divorce me, I'll fight, and you'll lose the house, most assets, and custody. I'll mess with your visitation and blame you for breaking up the family, making the kids hate you. You say you love me, yet you'll do all that." "Yes, I love you, but I'll fight if you try to divorce me. I just need this one night." "And in a few years, what then? When you feel old again, will you find another younger man?" "I promise it won't happen again. It's just lovemaking. No love. You won't take me away from you. Maybe I'll even learn something to spice up our bed life. If you do this, I've already told you the consequences. Cancel now, and we can try marriage counseling." "Don't be stupid. We'll be fine. If you insist on counseling, we'll discuss it when I get back tomorrow." She continued getting ready. I changed and left the room. Later, she came downstairs, dressed up, clutch in hand, checking herself in the mirror. I was in the living room when I heard a car honk outside. "He's here. I've got to go. I'll see you in the morning," she said, walking over to kiss me goodbye. I turned away, and she kissed the air. She frowned at me. "Fine, be that way. Once you're over your hissy fit, everything will be back to normal." She turned toward the door. I made one last plea. "If you walk out that door, we're done. Think hard about whether this is worth throwing away years of marriage." She turned back to me. "I'm not throwing anything away. I'll be back, and everything will go back to normal." With that, she opened the door and walked out. I started crying, mourning the loss of my marriage and the woman I loved for 20 years. 17 years of marriage, a year of engagement, and 2 years of exclusive dating. She never showed any dissatisfaction. We had a decent bed life, and she never asked for more. We hadn't been fighting. We discussed and resolved our disagreements. After half an hour, realizing she wasn't coming back, I began executing my plan. We had a large 4-bedroom house, the master bedroom, Carly's room, Josh's room, and a guest bedroom with a private bathroom. This would now be my temporary bedroom. It took hours to move out of our old bedroom. I knew our divorce wouldn't favor me since we lived in a no-fault state. Divorce laws here were biased against men, giving wives the house, kids, child support, and maintenance, leaving husbands with the bills. I set up my new living space and went to my home office to manage our finances. I had an account in my name for buying her gifts. I transferred half of our joint checking and savings into it, paid off and canceled our credit cards, then applied for new ones in my name. I planned to transfer my direct deposit and split our investments on Monday. I poured myself a Jim Beam and went to bed but couldn't sleep well. The bed felt empty without her, and my mind raced with thoughts of what I could have done to stop her. Should I have stopped her physically? Gone after the guy with a bat or weapon? It was a long, restless night. At dawn, I showered to wake up, dressed in jeans and a t-shirt, and had breakfast. By 9 a.m., Kayla walked back into the house. "Good morning, honey. I'm home just like I promised," she said cheerfully. I ignored her. My rage had built up overnight. I realized I didn't deserve her disrespect, and that stopping her wouldn't have changed anything. If I had stopped her last night, she would have tried again. My love for her turned into hate, fueled by her disrespect, threats, and dismissive attitude. I spent hours focusing on that. "Honey, where are you?" "I'm home, just like I said. I even cleaned up before coming home for you," she called out as she searched for me. "Oh, there you are," she said, opening my office door. "I'm back, and now everything can go back to normal," she added, coming over to my desk with her arms out for a hug and kiss. I pushed her away. "Keep your filthy lips away from me. Who knows what they've touched or what's been in your mouth?" Her eyes widened in shock. I had never spoken to her like this before. Before she could respond, I continued. "You need to get a full STD test and show me a notarized clean report before you touch me again. As for lovemaking, I wouldn't touch you with a 10-foot pole, even with a dozen condoms on it." Her shock turned to anger. "I see you're still dealing with your bruised ego. I'm going to our room to nap. I had a long night and need rest. Hopefully you'll calm down and we can talk later. I expect an apology for your rudeness." She stormed out. I smiled, anticipating her quick return. "What the hell did you do?" she screamed, storming back. "Where are your clothes? Your toiletries? What do you think you're doing?" "What do you mean?" I asked calmly. "Your closet is empty. Your drawers are empty." "What do you mean?" "Everything is where it's supposed to be. My clothes are in my closet, and my toiletries are in my bathroom. They are not. I just checked. You're mistaken. You think of your bedroom as ours. My stuff is in my new bedroom." "In your bedroom, you mean?" "Yes. I moved out of your bedroom. I'll stay in my new room until I find an apartment." Her eyes narrowed in irritation. "We'll discuss this later. I'll give you a week to get over your fit. Then I expect you to move everything back, and we'll go back to normal." "Not until I have that notarized report," I replied, turning back to my computer. I stayed in my office most of the day. The kids came home early in the afternoon. I wondered how long it would take them to notice the problem. I found some promising apartments and scheduled viewings for Tuesday. I printed our financial statements for my lawyer appointment on Monday. I knew I'd get screwed in the divorce, but I wanted to be prepared. "Daddy, dinner is ready," Carly said, poking her head in the door. "Okay, sweetie." Kayla was smiling brightly when I entered the kitchen, clearly trying to eliminate me with kindness. She had dressed up, done her hair and makeup, and made my favorite meal. As I entered, she handed me a glass of wine and leaned in for a kiss. I leaned away, took the glass, walked to the sink, poured it out, and set the glass on the counter. I then poured myself a tumbler of Jim Beam. The kids at the table definitely noticed. I sat down at the table and chatted with the kids, ignoring my wife. Dinner was strained. I tried to keep the conversation going with the kids, but it was clear there were serious problems. I didn't put anything on my plate or eat, despite the dishes being my favorites. I just sipped my drink and talked to the kids. "Dad, aren't you going to eat?" Josh asked. "Nope, not hungry," I replied. After the most awkward dinner ever, I refilled my drink and went back to my office without helping to clear the table. Half an hour later, I shut down the computer, grabbed my truck keys and left for a quiet restaurant. I had dinner, then went to a bar for a couple of drinks. It was late when I got home. Seeing Kayla's light on, I made sure to close my door loudly. I locked it and slid a chair under the knob. She tried the door and knocked, but I ignored her. I was up early the next morning and decided it would be a football day. There were 3 games, and I planned to watch them all, ignoring weekend chores. I had almost finished a pot of coffee and started making omelets. I finished mine when Carly walked in. "Hey, sweetie, want an omelet?" I asked. "Sure, Dad. Thanks," Carly said. She got her juice and sat at the table as I cooked her food. A few minutes later, Josh came in. "I'll make yours next," I told him as Carly ate. I heard Kayla in the hallway, so I poured the last cup of coffee for myself and turned off the pot. She came in, got a cup, and glared at the empty pot. "You couldn't leave a cup for me?" she asked. "The pot's right there." "You know how to make it," I replied. "Whatever." "So you're making omelets?" she asked. "Made them. Just finished." "Feel free to make yourself one," I said, slipping Josh's omelet onto his plate. I had used the last of the ingredients and put everything away. Having taken care of the kids, I left the kitchen. Just before noon, I was in the living room watching the game. Kayla came in with a plate and a bottle of beer. "I brought you lunch and beer so you wouldn't miss the game," she said cheerfully. Without a glance, I swept both off the table with my foot. Shocked, she stood there as I went to the kitchen and got myself a beer. I didn't clean up the mess. She brought it. She could clean it. I didn't care if it stained the carpet. I wouldn't be living there much longer. "We need to discuss this, Tom," she began. "Shut up." "The game's on," I replied. "For God's sake, you need to fix your attitude." "The kids have noticed," she said. "They'll notice when I move out anyway," I said. "You're not moving out, and there will be no divorce," she insisted as she stormed away. Later in the afternoon, Carly and Josh approached me during halftime. "Dad, what's going on with you and Mom?" Carly asked. "You may as well know. Your mother and I are getting a divorce. This has nothing to do with you. We both love you. This is between us," I explained. "But why?" Josh asked. "Because your mother did something I can't accept." Even after I told her my feelings, she wasn't remorseful, I said. "You mean her date on Friday night?" Carly asked. "You know about that?" I was surprised. "Yeah." "Mom told us you weren't happy about it," Carly said. "So you know she cheated on me," I stated. "No, she didn't. She told you beforehand, so it wasn't cheating. She didn't sneak around. It was only one night out of the 20 years you've been together," she said. "If you really loved her, you'd let her have that one night and move on," Carly explained. I was shocked and hurt that my daughter wasn't even trying to understand my side. She had taken her mother's side completely. "Really, if she truly loved me, she wouldn't even consider having lovemaking with someone else," I said. "Dad, it was just one time. She promised it would never happen again," Carly insisted. "Let's talk about promises. Over 17 years ago, she made a vow before God, our families and friends, to forsake all others until the end of life. How can I trust any private promise now?" I asked. "But you also vowed to stick with her in good and bad times," Josh pointed out. "True, but her breaking her vow releases me from mine," I replied. "Why break up the family over one night?" Carly asked. "Why am I blamed for her actions? She broke the vows, not me," I said. "Mom wants to move on and put this behind us. You're the one making a big deal and breaking up the family," Carly insisted. It didn't get better after that. They weren't listening. Kayla had convinced them that Mommy needed this, and Daddy's ego was causing all the problems. They thought I was overreacting. Eventually, they stormed out when it was clear I wouldn't agree. I watched the rest of the game in peace. Later, I smelled dinner being prepared, but ignored it. When Josh told me dinner was ready, I grabbed my truck keys. "Where are you going?" "Dinner is ready?" Josh asked. "I'm going to the sports bar to watch the game. I'll eat there," I replied. "But Mom fixed—" "I'll be back after the game," I said, cutting him off. I hung out at the bar, enjoying a burger and beer. I only had one beer per quarter, so I was fine to drive. By the time I got home, everyone was in bed. The plate and bottle from earlier had been cleaned up, which made me smile. Monday morning, I left early. I called my broker first and had him split our investments into a new account in my name. Then I contacted HR to remove Kayla from my retirement account and added Carly and Josh as heirs. I also changed my direct deposit to my new bank account. Finally, I told my boss about the divorce and needing time off for meetings and court dates. He was supportive. My lawyer confirmed my fears. I was likely to get screwed in the divorce. Custody would depend on where the kids wanted to live, and given our recent conversation, I wasn't hopeful. The lawyer began the paperwork, and I asked him to have Kayla served at work on Monday. After work, I went to the sports bar for Monday Night Football, ignoring Kayla's texts and calls. I let Carly know where I was, but her response wasn't pleasant. When I got home, they all gave me the evil eye. I went straight to my office, then later to bed after everyone was asleep. Tuesday morning, I left early again. Work was fine, and I took the afternoon off to look at apartments. I chose a nice 2-bedroom unit and put down a deposit, planning to move in on Saturday. I bought a couch, table, and chairs from a second-hand store to be delivered that afternoon. I decided to take my bed and everything from my home office. They were eating dinner when I got home. Noticing they didn't set a plate for me, I snickered. I wasn't going to eat it anyway. I made a huge sandwich, grabbed chips and a beer, and went to my office. "Dad, why are you being such an a-hole?" Carly asked, coming into my office. "Because your mother cheated on me, disrespected me, and threw it in my face. I clearly told her what would happen if she went through with it, and she did anyway. You can't be breaking up the family over that. It was just lovemaking. Carly, someday you'll be married. How would you feel if your husband told you he had a date with a younger, prettier woman and planned to spend the night with her?" I wouldn't like it, but if he promised it was just one time, I'd try to get past it. Besides, if he told me, it wouldn't be cheating, right? Imagine saying your vows and telling your groom you plan to screw another man. Think about the devastation in his eyes. I turned back to my work. Wednesday evening, both sets of parents were at the house when I got home. I actually got along well with my in-laws. Her dad was a gearhead like me. My parents were loving and supportive, and we got along great. I saw the ambush. I understood why her parents were there, but I was confused about my parents being there too. "Tom," Charles began, "we're disappointed in Kayla, but you're overreacting. She made one mistake in years. You don't need to tear the family apart for one small mistake." Seriously, it wasn't a small mistake. It was planned. She ambushed me an hour before leaving, giving me no chance to fight it. It was a deliberate plan to cheat. "Son," Mom said, "she didn't cheat. She told you first. What she told me didn't ask. Even when I objected, she didn't care. I told her this would happen if she went through with it." "Tom," Dad added, "we understand your pain, but think about the family. Kayla still loves you. With counseling, you can get past this. Don't tear your family apart. We raised you to be a good man. Think about your mother and me. We will do whatever necessary to keep our relationship with our grandchildren." I was stunned. My parents were actually siding with her, telling me to overlook her cheating. I couldn't take it anymore and went to my bedroom, shutting the door in her face. 10 minutes later, I changed into jeans, a casual shirt, and boots. I walked through the living room without saying a word, ignoring their attempts to talk to me. I got in my truck and went to the sports bar for dinner and beers. The house was quiet and dark when I returned 4 hours later. Thursday and Friday were the same. I ignored Kayla, and the kids stayed mad at me. I was surprised Kayla hadn't noticed the credit cards not working yet. She'd figure it out during her Saturday shopping. Friday evening, I was in my office when Kayla came in wearing a transparent nightie, stockings, garter belt, and heels. "The kids are out tonight. It's time for you to get over this and come to bed. I want you to make love to me all night. I need you to take me back," she demanded, her voice filled with a mix of desperation and desire. "No thanks. I haven't seen a clinic report proving you're disease-free," I replied coldly, not even looking up from my desk. "Stop being ridiculous. I need you back in my bed now. Come on. I'm aroused and need lovemaking," she insisted, her tone becoming more insistent and frustrated. "Not interested," I said flatly, turning another page in my book. "If you don't, I'll call Clarence again," she threatened, her voice dripping with anger. "So much for it being a one-time thing," I shot back, my voice laced with sarcasm. "Damn it, it was. But if you keep rejecting me, you're pushing me back to someone else," she snapped, her frustration boiling over. "Have fun. Let me know if you're bringing him here so I can leave," I responded, not bothering to hide my disdain. She stormed out, and half an hour later I heard her leave, tires screeching. With the house empty, I packed up my things, took apart the bed, and loaded my truck with my clothes. I slept on the sofa in my office. The next morning, I got the apartment keys and moved everything with help from friendly neighbors. No one was home when I returned, so I had a neighbor's son help me load my desk and office furniture. I took the recliner too. Later that evening, my daughter called. "Daddy, where are you?" she asked, her voice filled with confusion and worry. "I'm at home, sweetheart," I answered, trying to keep my tone calm and reassuring. "No, you aren't. Your office is cleaned out, the spare bedroom is empty, and your recliner is gone. Plus, your truck is missing," she listed, her voice rising with each observation. "You're right. I moved into an apartment. After the divorce, maybe I'll get another house," I explained, trying to keep the conversation as matter-of-fact as possible. "God, Dad, I can't believe you're being such an a-hole about this. I thought you loved us," she exclaimed, her voice breaking with emotion. "I do love you, sweetie. Always will," I assured her, feeling a pang of guilt. "Just not enough to stay," she accused, her voice filled with hurt. "I'm not abandoning you. You can see me anytime. I'll still take care of you and your brother," I promised, trying to make her understand. "You left us and are breaking up the family," she said, her voice shaking with anger. "Your mother broke up the family. I told her this would happen if she went on that date. She did it anyway," I reminded her, my own frustration creeping into my voice. "She thought you loved her enough to get past it," she said, her tone softening slightly. "And I thought she loved me enough not to do it," I countered, feeling the weight of the situation pressing down on me. "Fine, whatever." She hung up, leaving me alone with my thoughts. The divorce was a nightmare. She fought it, wanted counseling, and wanted me to pay. I refused. I argued she should pay for it. I won that argument. The counselor didn't like me because I told him I was ordered to attend but didn't have to participate. After 12 sessions, the counselor gave up. She fought over everything, even things she despised, like the poster in the garage and the Bud Light lamp. It was all to make the divorce harder for me and to interfere with my time with the kids. The judge granted the divorce. I had to pay half the mortgage, and she kept the house. I paid $1,000 a month in child support and $1,000 a month in spousal maintenance for 5 years, which would end if she remarried. She moved Clarence in before the divorce was final. Half my paycheck went to her. I cashed in some investments and bought a fixer-upper house. I moved in with my tools and started repairs in the evenings and weekends. Visitation was a disaster. Kayla made it difficult, and the kids were busy or hostile. Eventually, they told me they didn't want to see me anymore. Forcing them would have caused more resentment. I sent gift cards and letters for birthdays and Christmas, but they were returned unopened. My checks were cashed, but I never heard a word. I informed them about their college funds, and they responded with no thanks. Kayla poisoned my kids against me. I focused on work in my house, saving money by not going out. One day I called my mom. "Hey Mom, how are you?" "Doing well. How are you?" she replied cheerfully. "I haven't heard about Thanksgiving. Are you hosting it?" After a pause, she said, "Yes, but Kayla, her parents and the kids are coming. She's bringing her new man. We thought it would be too awkward for you to be there." "Seriously, Mom? You're choosing my ex-wife and her boyfriend over me? We want to keep our relationship with the grandkids. This is your fault. You should have kept your family together. How about Christmas Eve? We'll be at Kayla's on Christmas Day. Forget it." "You don't have a son anymore," I said, ending the call. I spent Christmas Eve watching Die Hard, ignoring calls and texts from my mom. The packages I sent to my kids had been returned. 5 years later, I got a wedding announcement. Kayla married Clarence the weekend after my last maintenance payment, with Josh turning 18 a year earlier. My child support ended too. I celebrated by getting drunk. I had worked hard and loved them, only to be rejected. Now free of my obligations, I decided to move on and forget about them as much as possible. One thing bugged me. I still had to pay half the mortgage. That ended when Josh graduated, but my name was still on the deed. Kayla thought the house was hers, but the divorce agreement only let her live there until the kids finished high school. I was entitled to half the assets, and the house was a big one. I contacted my lawyer. When we divorced, the house was worth $300,000 with equity. Now it was worth about $500,000 with $450,000 in equity. We only had $50,000 left on the mortgage. I wanted the money, obviously, and it would piss Kayla off. She loved that house and would hate giving me anything. It would also pay me back for all the maintenance and mortgage payments. A week later, Kayla called. "Tom, what's going on?" "Just working and fixing up my house. Surprised to hear from you, you a hole." "Why did a realtor come to my house for a listing contract? Since both our names are on the title, she needs your signature for the sale. I'm not selling. I love this house. Then when can I expect my check for half the equity?" I got the house and the divorce. No, you got to live there until Josh graduated. Now we either sell it and split the proceeds, or you buy out my half. I'm not giving you $100,000 for a house that's rightfully mine. Good thing I'm not asking for $100,000. The equity is now $225,000. My half is $225,000. With the expensive furniture, let's round it to $250,000. You're insane. I'm not giving you a dime, she screamed and hung up. I laughed. A couple of months later, the judge ruled in my favor. She had to pay court fees and my lawyer. The house appraised for more than I estimated, and I ended up with $250,000. They bought me out with mostly Clarence's money, which would come back to bite him later. I fixed up my house nicely, including a shop. I bought a Chevy pickup in bad shape, interested only in the chassis. I stripped, cleaned, and repainted it. The rear differential was good, but I rebuilt it. The transmission was a Borg-Warner T5 manual 4-speed. For fun, I went all out on the engine, a 427 big block. I found one online, had it shipped, and tore it apart. After machine work, I installed a new forged crankshaft, 10-to-1 pistons, a heavy cam, and poured it in polished heads with double springs. I added a blower, chrome valve covers, polished aluminum, and steel braided hoses. The first drive was wild. I punched it on the freeway, and the back tires broke loose instantly. I barely managed to keep it straight. Lesson learned, press the accelerator slowly. I drove more carefully after that. A few weeks later, I saw an ad for a public car show. Thinking it would be fun, I entered and paid the fee. On the day of the show, I drove my '72 Chevy to the park, checked in, and set up my spot next to a 1968 GTO. I noticed two attractive redheads, one about my age and the other a teenager, setting up behind the GTO. No guy was with them, and the older one had no ring on her left hand. "Good morning." "I like your GTO," I said. "Thanks. I like your truck too," the older one replied. "This is my first show as a participant. I'm Tom. I'm Marie, and this is my daughter Jenny. We've done this a few times." I invited them to join me in the shade. We hung out most of the day, chatting with other car enthusiasts. Though I didn't win any awards, I had a great time. Marie shared that she divorced her husband for cheating. She got the GTO in the divorce, using it as leverage to ensure he kept paying child support and maintenance. Jenny was friendly too, expressing anger at her dad for cheating. When the show ended, I invited them to dinner at Red Lobster, and they accepted. Over dinner, I shared my story. They were surprised my kids blamed me for the divorce after my ex cheated. "I'm so sorry, Tom. You seem like a nice guy and didn't deserve that," Marie said. We exchanged numbers and agreed to meet again. Jenny gave me a big smile, a wink, and a thumbs up, signaling her approval. Marie and I went out the next weekend for dinner and dancing. She gave me a kiss on the cheek, and I saw Jenny smiling and giving me another thumbs up. After a few more dates, I invited them over and cooked lasagna. They liked it and enjoyed my house, though Marie noted it needed a woman's touch. The next weekend, they invited me to their apartment. Marie's cooking was amazing, much better than mine. I couldn't stop eating and apologized for making a pig of myself, but they laughed, saying it was the best compliment for someone who loves to cook. 2 weekends later, Marie and I went out for dinner and dancing. During a slow song, she whispered, "Take me home." Surprised, I pulled back, but she giggled and clarified, "Take me to your home." Oh, well then. Thankfully, I had my regular truck, not the hot rod. We ended up doing it 3 times before falling asleep. I cooked her breakfast and drove her home. A few months later, I proposed and she said yes. We had a simple ceremony in front of a judge, and they moved into my house. Jenny even started calling me Daddy. Life was great. Yes, we had disagreements, and Jenny and I had our differences. She was still a teenager, and I was an authority figure, but she respected me, and her mom loved me as much as I loved her. About a year later, I got a surprise call from an unknown number. "Hello," I answered. "Dad?" An excited woman's voice said. "Carly?" "Yes, Daddy. It's me. I have great news. Really, it's good to hear from you. I'm getting married. That's great, sweetie. I'm so happy for you. I want you at my wedding." "Oh, no. Clarence is paying for the wedding, and he will walk me down the aisle. You wouldn't sit in the front pew, but I really want you there." "Clarence? The man your mother cheated with?" "She married him. Look, Dad, I'm trying to reconnect and want you at my wedding. It's your fault they got together after you left. You still think your mother did nothing wrong? I can't support this marriage. You'll likely cheat just like your mom. Plus, you took the last honor of a father away from me. You've become a shallow, self-centered witch. Fine, don't expect to see your grandchildren. If you raise them like you, I don't want to. Mom's right. You are an a-hole. That was the last I heard from my daughter. She sent texts and voicemails, but I deleted them. Her olive branch was an insult. She made her choice 10 years ago. Any chance of a relationship with her or Josh was gone. It hurt, but they blamed me for their mother's actions. I set my phone down and went to work on my 1963 Chevy pickup. This one would be less radical than the 72, with a slightly beefier 350 engine. I didn't notice Jenny pick up my phone or realize she was home. I was furious with my dad. I reached out and he talked to me like that. It was his fault our family was torn apart. I invited him to my wedding and he threw it back in my face. I wanted him to take responsibility for what he did to our family. My phone rang with an unknown number. "Hello? Is this Carly Williams?" a voice asked. "Yes." "Can I help you?" I replied. "Yes, you can stop calling my daddy and being a witch. He is the best man I know and doesn't deserve a brat like you reminding him of your pathetic family. You and your family are a waste of air." "Who the hell are you?" I demanded. "My name is Jenny Williams. I'm your sister. My mom married your dad, and he adopted me. I love him and would never disrespect him. You were an insult to daughters everywhere. I know what happened. Your mom disrespected her husband by going on a date and sleeping with another man, and you seem okay with that. My bio dad cheated on my mom, and she kicked him out without hesitation. If my mom ever cheated, I would help my dad throw her out. He is the most decent, caring person I know. I'm grateful your mom was stupid enough to let him go. You can tell your grandparents they have another granddaughter, but I don't want a relationship with people who reject their son for a cheating mom. When you say your vows, think about your husband cheating on you. Call me when it happens so I can laugh. Have a crappy life, sis." She hung up. I stared at the phone in shock. I couldn't believe Dad got married and didn't invite us. I now had a younger sister who sounded like me before Mom convinced Josh and me that Dad was breaking up the family over a minor issue. I thought he must have had a good reason. I even considered living with him, but Mom explained she just needed this one thing to rejuvenate herself, and Dad was the one being stubborn and leaving. Jenny was so rude and didn't care about our side. She called me names without knowing me. Of course, Clarence would walk me down the aisle. He had been there for me. He was paying almost $20,000 for the wedding. I doubted Dad could contribute much. I was still upset when Mom and both grandmas came in from shopping. Mom noticed my mood. "Honey, what's wrong?" she asked. I told Dad about the wedding and invited him. I hoped it could help rebuild our relationship. "That's wonderful," Grandma Williams said. "Will he be there? We haven't heard from him since Thanksgiving a few years ago." I sighed. No. He got mad when I told him Clarence would walk me down the aisle and that it would be too awkward for him to sit with Mom and Clarence. Oh, that's too bad. I thought he would have gotten over his stubbornness by now. That's not all. "I found out I have a stepsister," I said. "What?" they exclaimed. A girl named Jenny Williams called after Dad hung up. Apparently Dad married her mom and adopted her. She was very rude and said the nicest thing. She wanted to thank my mom for being stupid, or she wouldn't have such a great dad. I recounted both calls. They were shocked by the vehemence from Dad and Jenny. "Tom got married, and we weren't invited," Grandma Williams whispered. The day of my wedding finally arrived. I had a brief moment of sadness that my dad wouldn't be there, but I shrugged it off. I had reached out, and he had rejected me. This was a happy day, and I was marrying the man I loved. Clarence beamed as he took my arm and we walked up the aisle. I was overjoyed seeing all my friends and family. Josh was one of Bobby's groomsmen. Tears of joy filled my eyes as I saw Bobby smiling at me. Clarence lifted my veil, kissed my cheek, and said, "Congratulations, baby." He handed me to Bobby, and the ceremony began. When the minister asked, "Who gives this bride away?" and Clarence said, "Her mother and I do," something felt off, but I let it go as I gazed into Bobby's eyes. Repeating my vows, I couldn't say forsake all others. Images flashed through my mind of Bobby with another woman, and him looking devastated as I confessed to cheating. "I understand now," I blurted out, feeling a sudden clarity wash over me. Bobby looked concerned. "What do you understand?" he asked, his brow furrowed with worry. "Absolutely everything," I replied with conviction. Then I got serious. "Bobby, do you really love me?" I asked, searching his eyes for the truth. "Of course I love you." "Why are you asking?" he responded, his voice filled with confusion and concern. "Because I can't marry you today. We will get married, but not today. I need to make things right," I explained, my voice trembling slightly. "Baby, what's wrong?" he asked, his concern deepening. "I love you, and I will marry you, but we need to fix things first." "We will reschedule the wedding," I said firmly, trying to reassure him. "You're not leaving me at the altar, are you?" he asked, his voice tinged with fear. "Not a chance." "You're coming with me," I replied, grabbing his hand. I turned to the guests. "I'm sorry, but I can't go through with this today. We will reschedule. In the meantime, please enjoy the reception. It's all paid for. Clarence is footing the bill," I announced, my voice carrying through the crowd. I grabbed Bobby's hand and headed back down the aisle. My mother and Clarence blocked my exit. Clarence was furious about the money spent. Mom asked, "Carly, what are you doing?" Her voice sharp with confusion. "I'm fixing a mistake I made years ago," I answered, determined. "What mistake?" "The mistake of blaming my dad for the divorce when it was your fault for cheating," I said, my voice steady. "Carly, I am your mother. I'm not a strumpet, and you will respect me," she said, her tone defensive and stern. "Really, Mother?" "Once a cheater, always a cheater," I retorted, my anger rising. "Carly, how dare you?" she exclaimed, shocked by my accusation. "How dare me? I'm ashamed I ever looked up to you. It wasn't until I was saying my vows to Bobby that I realized how horrible you are. Once a cheater, always a cheater." Looking into his eyes, I understood how terrible it would be if he cheated on me, and how badly I would hurt him if I cheated. Dad was a good role model. "You weren't," I said, my voice breaking with emotion. "What do you mean?" Mom asked, fear in her eyes, her voice barely a whisper. "I mean you destroyed our family with your actions. You hurt Dad, and you hurt us. And now I see how wrong I was to side with you," I explained, my voice filled with the pain of realization. "I never meant to hurt anyone," she whispered, her eyes filling with tears. "But you did, and now I need to make things right," I said, my voice strong and resolute. "Seriously, Mom? Do you think I don't know about your workouts with Jim Davis at his apartment, or how Carlos the pool boy takes extra time because you're sleeping with him, or the landscape crew you sleep with after yard work? I have videos of that. And let's not forget the back room head you give Mario, your hairstylist. At least Clarence doesn't have to worry about you cheating with your boss. Oh, and Alan Morris, our neighbor who visits when his wife has girls' night out." Her eyes darted to Clarence, who looked utterly shocked. I turned to him. "Clarence, I vow with the same commitment my mom had to her vows that I'll pay you back for this wedding. Don't expect a dime." I pulled Bobby down the aisle, stopping to talk to the videographer who caught everything on camera. He gave me a copy, and I signed a release form for YouTube. Bobby and I dashed to the parking lot, got in his car, and roared out. "Where are we going?" he asked. "West on I-5. "I'll put the address in Waze," I replied, finding the address quickly. It was about 2 hours away, and I hoped Dad was home. We didn't stop to change. I was on a mission and didn't want to waste time. It's not every day you open your door to see a bride and groom standing on your porch. I'm not a minister, and I don't live at a church, so it was quite a surprise. Even more surprising was recognizing one of them as my daughter Carly, who had made it clear she never wanted to see me again. I knew today was her wedding day, so she should have been at the church, the reception, or on her honeymoon. "Daddy, can I talk to you for a minute?" she asked softly. Still stunned, I let them in and gestured to the living room, where Marie and Jenny were sitting, both looking shocked. "Carly, this is my wife Marie and our daughter Jenny. Jenny, Marie, this is Carly. I don't know who the man with her is. Daddy, this is Bobby Jensen, my fiancé," Carly introduced. "Didn't you get married a few hours ago?" I asked, confused. "I need to talk to you about that. I couldn't go through with it today. I can't get married unless my daddy walks me down the aisle. Daddy, I finally understand. You were right. Mom threw everything away, not you. I'm sorry for blaming you. You didn't deserve any of that. I hope you can forgive me and let me back into your life. I really want to marry Bobby, but I can't unless you agree to walk me down the aisle." This was unexpected. I was happy she wanted me back in my life, but curious about the scene. "Carly, did something happen at the wedding? You're still in your wedding dress, and Bobby's in his tux." "We were halfway through the ceremony when I had an epiphany," she said, handing me a CD. "You should watch this while Bobby and I change into regular clothes." Marie showed Carly to a bedroom to change. I set up the video player in the living room. When Carly and Bobby were ready, we watched the video. It started as a typical wedding, but Carly stumbled during her vows. She did it. "I can't believe it," Jenny whispered. Carly stopped the wedding and confronted her mom. revealing more of her infidelity. I was shocked. Carly explained. I couldn't go through with it. I realized how hurt Bobby would be if I did to him what Mom did to you. I finally understood what forsaking all others meant. Mom dishonored you, and I was dishonoring you by getting married without you there. The vows would be meaningless without the most honorable person I know. When I marry Bobby, it needs to be you who walks me down the aisle, not Mom and Clarence. Carly paused and smiled at Jenny. Besides, I need my little sister as a bridesmaid. Your words woke me up. How can I get married without you standing up there for me? This was a lot to process. We talked for hours. I didn't know Jenny had gotten Carly's number from my phone and called her. When it got late, I had them stay in the guest bedroom. Carly ignored calls from Clarence and Kayla, but took calls from friends. Some guests took her up on the offer to party on Clarence's dime. He tried to cancel but was too late, so he ended up drinking in a corner. Josh sent Carly a video of their mom trying to talk to Clarence, which ended in him yelling, "Cheating strumpet!" That relationship seemed over. Josh also managed to cancel the flight and resort reservations but was stuck with a 20% cancellation fee. Since Carly and Bobby had already taken time off for their honeymoon, they stayed with us for the week. I reconnected with Carly and got to know Bobby, who turned out to be a great guy with strong morals. It was strained at first because of the lies my ex and kids had told him, but he warmed up to me after learning the truth and seeing my workshop. We set a new wedding date for the same venue a year later. This time, I would walk Carly down the aisle. Marie and Jenny were involved in the planning. Carly and Bobby updated everyone in the wedding party except Kayla and Clarence. Over the next few months, Carly and I rebuilt our relationship, and I got to know Bobby better. We attended car shows together, entering Marie's GTO, my '72 truck, Bobby's Challenger, and Jenny's 1974 Firebird. Carly and Bobby visited us often, and Josh even showed up a few times, though it was harder with him because he was closer to his mother. Meanwhile, things didn't go well for Kayla and Clarence. Clarence moved out and filed for divorce under irreconcilable differences to avoid a fight and the harsh penalties of the prenup. The prenup protected his pre-marriage assets, so Kayla only got to keep the house and about $50,000. Clarence couldn't prove he used his money to buy my share of the house, and his name wasn't on the title. He ended up paying off a business loan with nothing to show for it and couldn't refile under infidelity in time. Word of Kayla's affairs spread, and her standing in the community took a significant hit. Her friends started avoiding her, and invitations to parties, charity events, and other gatherings dried up. Even worse for her, since she didn't work and relied on Clarence's money, her financial situation suffered greatly. Clarence learned an expensive lesson. He lost a couple of $100,000 buying out my half of the house, another $20,000 for the failed wedding, and had to pay Kayla $50,000 in the divorce. Then there was the humiliation. Kayla was angry that her affairs were publicly revealed and that Clarence was divorcing her in the manner he did. She started telling her remaining friends that she cheated on him because he had such a small instrument and didn't even know how to use it properly. That kind of gossip spreads quickly. Soon, every woman he tried to pick up in a bar would just laugh at him. He became somewhat of a recluse, only going to work and then straight home. His social life disappeared. "Ready, Daddy?" my oldest daughter asked. "No father is ever really ready to let go of their daughters, but I'm honored to do this for you," I replied. The doors opened. The music began and filled the church. I stepped forward with my left foot, proudly walking my daughter down the aisle. I glanced around, and my smile grew bigger. My ex-wife was sitting in the fourth row. My wife Marie was in her place of honor in the first row. I would join her after I completed my last important duty for my daughter. "Who gives this woman to be wed?" the minister asked. "As her father, I give her to be wed," I spoke loudly. "Love you, Munchkin," I whispered to her as I kissed her on the cheek before handing her off to Bobby. Yes, I neglected to mention my wife. No, it was not all my idea. Carly asked me to do it that way. I then turned and sat next to my wife. To have and to hold, in sickness and in health, through good times and bad, forsaking all others. Carly practically shouted the last part. Then, with a brilliant smile, she finished her vows. It was a beautiful ceremony. Cheers erupted as they kissed at the end. I looked down from the head table. Marie was right beside me. I saw Kayla sitting at a table off to the side. She didn't look happy. Every time she looked up and saw Marie sitting in her spot, she scowled. I noticed she was taking advantage of the open bar. Clarence had not been invited. I don't know if he would have come even if he had been. My last great accomplishment for my daughter was complete. I walked her down the aisle, gave her away, gave a beautiful toast to the newlyweds, danced with my daughter in the father-daughter dance, then danced with my wife while my daughter and her husband and his parents danced to the second song. My obligations were complete. I was sitting at the table beside my wife. My younger daughter was out dancing with one of the boys vying for her attention. "Pardon me, Marie, is it? May I borrow your husband for this dance?" I heard a familiar voice behind me request from my wife. Marie and I turned around to face my ex-wife. Marie eyed her for a moment before responding, "Just make sure you return him to where you found him." She looked at me. "I trust you. It's her I don't trust to not try anything stupid." I led Kayla onto the floor. They started a slow song. It wouldn't have surprised me if she had requested it just for this purpose. I was careful to keep some distance and not pull her in tight. We danced for a bit before she started talking. "You were supposed to give me that one night. We should have moved past that and gone on like normal. This was supposed to be the two of us together today, and you were not supposed to have gone out that night. You should have known me better than to think that I would have been okay with you cheating on me, no matter how many times you did it. I didn't cheat. I told you about it before I did it. I didn't sneak around behind your back. Whether you told me or not is irrelevant. The fact that you had lovemaking with someone else is cheating. Besides, I never gave you permission. I told you not to do it, but you did it anyway. I never wanted this. I just wanted that one night. Then we could have been together forever. You know you are the only man I have ever loved. I never had any love for him. Besides, the lovemaking wasn't even that good. He was selfish, and he wasn't even as big as you are. Then why did you marry him? Because you divorced me. Sure, I didn't love him, but I liked him. After you left, I didn't want to be alone. I thought that I might grow to love him, but I could never get over you. I did all that to you because I was pissed that you left me. I still loved you, but you wouldn't even talk to me after that one night. I realized that you were everything I would ever need, and I would never go out with another man again. So why did you cheat on him then? Because he was terrible in bed. I thought I could train him, but he refused to take any advice. He would just stick it in, pump for a few minutes, finish, then roll over and fall asleep. When I couldn't take it anymore, I found a couple of other guys who could actually satisfy me. I had no idea Carly knew anything about it. Even if I did, I never would have guessed she would betray me like that. I'm sorry for you. We had a great marriage, but you threw it away for one night of mediocre lovemaking. I don't suppose there's any chance. I couldn't help laughing. Not just no, but hell no. First off, even if I wasn't married now, what you did in turning my kids against me eliminated any chance of us ever getting back together. Now I'm married again to a woman I love, and I have another daughter that I love as well. The best I can offer is civility when we are at the same place and at events with our children and grandchildren. Thankfully, the song ended shortly after. I didn't talk to her again that night. She couldn't afford the mortgage payments on the house, so she ended up selling it and moving into a small apartment. She got enough money out of the house to live on if she was careful. She went out with her friends occasionally, but as far as I know, she never had another relationship. Clarence ended up living alone as well. Carly and Bobby had a long, loving marriage. They had 3 kids, 2 boys and 1 girl. Josh eventually married a sweet girl too. They had 2 daughters. As far as I know, neither one cheated on the other. Some believe I should have sought revenge on Kayla and Clarence. The reality is there was nothing I could do to hurt them without either going to jail or having it backfire on me. I decided to move ahead and live my life as best as I could. There's a saying, the best revenge is a life well lived. I did that and let karma handle the rest. Karma is a cow, and her dance name is vengeance. Clarence and Kayla were not burned, but they did not escape unscathed. No, I didn't have anything to do with it, but I still feel good about myself. I have my wife, my daughter, and my 2 other children back in my life. I am surrounded by people who love me. I have a good life. Ready, Daddy? My daughter asked. No father is ever really ready to let go of their daughters, but I'm honored to do this for you, I replied. The doors opened, the music began and filled the church. I stepped forward with my left foot, proudly walking my daughter down the aisle. My wife was in her place of honor in the first row, smiling broadly. I would join her after I took care of my last important duty for my daughter. Don't worry, Daddy. I'm going through with this today. I talked to Carly, and I'm doing it right the first time, Jenny assured me.